Good evening, everybody. I'm attorney Chris DeBari. Welcome to my weekly presentation called Legal Ease, where I discuss legal topics and things that are relevant to what I do as a personal injury attorney and try to explain things in a way that are helpful to people who have to go through this process and so that they can do it confidently and get through it. And it's not always easy. If you like what you hear here today, please feel free to share it, like it, or comment about it below. I appreciate your feedback and your criticisms. They've been very helpful, and sometimes they actually inspire me to talk about new topics. But down to the motor vehicle accident itself. Rarely is it ever an easy road for a person who's been injured in a motor vehicle accident. I mean, events like these can be life changing and sometimes very quickly at that. One day you're living your life, you're working your job, you are enjoying your family, and you're dealing with the regular stresses of life, which can be bad enough, but we're fairly used to them on a day-to-day basis. Boom, and the accident happens, and all of a sudden you're experiencing pain on a daily or regular basis. Sometimes intense pain, nagging pain, causing you to feel depression and really giving you uncertainty about things that you might have taken for granted, like your ability to earn an income and support your family now and in the future. These are the types of fears that are inspired in people, not having those abilities to function. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Joe Salcero, how's it going, man? Thank you for tuning in. But this is where people find themselves, unfortunately. And it's hard to believe with all the lawyer advertising out there that anybody wouldn't just pick up a phone and call a lawyer that they saw on a billboard or on a Google ad or somebody who has the most online reviews. But given all that information, given all the billboards and all the availability of attorneys, including myself, the fact is a lot of people are daunted by the idea of litigation and lawsuits. Um, it's something they've never been involved in, and it's a place where they really never thought they'd find themselves, and certainly didn't want to. And some people just simply feel that it's against their principles to sue somebody. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't sue people. And some may even feel that in doing so, they're somehow abusing the system, which is a genuine concern. And whereas some people don't have those issues, but they simply are disheartened by the idea of being involved in protracted litigation processes, and these things would add undue stress to their lives, and maybe they don't wish to be confrontational, and so they don't do the things that they should do. People like this become sort of easy prey for the insurance companies who may just want to get out of the case by writing a small check and buying their piece at a bargain basement price. And you know, one of the reasons attorneys exist is so that we can guide and counsel people through this process, so they're not taken advantage of. But consider this: filing a claim against a person who has injured you or somebody that you love is not the same thing as suing somebody. Bringing a claim against an at-fault party is not only within a citizen's absolute right, certainly within the state of Florida, and probably within pretty much every state under one set of rules or another. But it's not only within the right, but it's also essential. It's essential to bring claims. Otherwise, the insurance companies and the corporations would simply know that people are going to be pushovers and they're going to be sheep, and they can do whatever they want because nobody's going to stand up and nobody's going to fight, nobody's going to retain an attorney, and that would be bad. So, just to make the distinction so that people understand, there are two very important phases that pertain to the claims. The first is the one I'm going to talk about today. That's called pre-suit or pre-litigation. The second phase is litigation. Once you file the lawsuit and the other side's answered, and you conduct discovery and you're in litigation. But no, what I'm talking about is pre-litigation. And this is the process that happens from the time that an accident happens and an accident is reported to the time of the filing of a lawsuit, if it turns out that that is necessary after the pre-suit process has run its course. Now, during this period of time, this pre-suit process, and it usually lasts several months, the patient, and I get this from my clients all the time, how long is this going to take? And oftentimes it has to do with the client themselves and their ability to recover and how amenable they are to treatment and how good a job their doctors can do. So during this period of time, you're seeking and receiving proper medical diagnosis and treatments while you and your physicians are doing everything that can be done to help you heal and get back to 100% where you were before the accident happened. Unfortunately, this often isn't possible, and there may be some permanency, which is a different issue, but I'll discuss that later. But during this pre-suit process, vital information is being gathered, proper diagnoses are being made, treatment is being rendered, complaints are being documented, and evidence of a medical nature is being created and preserved. Um, Now, some people may wonder, well, what do I need a lawyer for during this period of time? Do I really need to hire a lawyer if I'm only going to the doctors? Well, there are many good reasons why you should and why you'd want an experienced and an effective attorney consulting with you, insulating you from the dubious practices of the insurance industry and its agents, um, and guiding you through this process as your counselor of law, but also as a source of information. That's one of the things I try to be for my clients, as a source of up-to-date, important information so that they can have some peace of mind during this process to know that they're being steered on track in the right direction and that everything is on course the way it should be, the timing of it and so forth. This is one of the reasons why I take a personal approach to what I do. It's because I want my clients to come to me, feel like they can come to me and ask me questions, to have their questions answered thoroughly by me. It's a peace of mind that people will rarely experience with big firms because you're being farmed out to a paralegal or case manager or an assistant who really isn't your lawyer. And, if you only meet your lawyer on the day of mediation, then what kind of relationship is that? I believe in having the relationship with the client from the day I sign them up until the day our case is finished, and even beyond that. But many cases, especially those that have been allowed to properly develop, will settle during the pre-suit or pre-litigation portion of the claim. And that's the part of the case before a lawsuit ever has to be settled. So many of these cases, if they're worked up the right way, if the patient complies with their only legal obligation, which is to make themselves better and not let themselves become worse, if they do this intelligently and consistently, it helps preserve their ability and make a stronger case. It documents their complaints and their injuries, subjective and objectively, and it gives the insurance company an idea of what their exposure is for their client. And insurance companies only do something that they should do when they feel they have to do it. So they have to look out for their clients and not put them in jeopardy. So the stronger you can work your case up, obviously, the more convincing you're going to be to an insurance adjuster when you're asking them for money. And and for the people that don't like litigation, don't like suing people, and think that it's wrong to ask for money, if the system provided for something else, then maybe we could ask for that, But right now, money is the only thing that the system provides, and it can't give you your health back necessarily. It can't bring people lost back. It can only give money. That's what the system's for. That is what the system of compensation is arranged to do, is arranged to compensate you for your loss. But the good part about the pre-suit process is if you can resolve it without having to file a lawsuit, it's generally a less confrontational and less expensive proposition for everybody involved. As opposed to a case that has to be litigated and taken through those paces. And there's nothing wrong with litigation. I mean, it's true that some cases must be litigated in order to realize their full value. And it's the responsibility of the attorney, like myself, to explain when and why it's appropriate to file a lawsuit and what's the essential things for the client to know before a lawsuit is filed so that they can make an educated decision as to how they want to proceed forward, because there are certain risks that may apply and you got to know what they are. But if the situation is where your lawyer can settle your case before having to escalate the case into a lawsuit, then you avoid litigation altogether, and that's a good thing. And as far as my own practice is concerned, and many other attorneys, I'm sure, I do not accept offers from insurance companies on behalf of my clients that my clients don't agree to first, and I don't reject offers that my clients don't agree to reject first. So there's always that communication. I have to bring my offers to my client, particularly at any time, but particularly in pre-suit. So what happens? You get involved in an accident. You call your attorney up. You enlist the services of your attorney. You sign your fee agreement. You review your statement of client's rights, fill out your paperwork, and your lawyer gets to work. The first thing we do is we send letters of representation to the insurance companies involved, both the at-fault driver's insurance company, the other driver who caused the accident or significantly caused the accident, but we also provide a letter of representation to your own insurance company because they provide no fault benefits and they provide uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist benefits if those benefits are purchased under the policy. The PIP is automatic. That's going to be on all policies. But UM and UIM coverage is only a contractual coverage. But we have an obligation to communicate with your own insurance company because you actually have to cooperate with their investigation, and there's certain things that we're obliged to do that you don't have to do with the other insurance company. And one of the things that the attorney does during the pre-suit time is we investigate the case, we speak to witnesses, take statements, collect medical records, bills, and other vital information that we're going to need to put forward your claim. And when the appropriate time comes, usually after the client has completed a course of treatment and the physicians have reported on crucial findings, permanency, relatedness, causation, a formal pre-suit litigation demand is made. Now, my office uses a pretty thick letter that we send out with all of your medical records and all of our case law, our jury verdicts, potentially. And this is sent to the at-fault driver's party and possibly to your own insurance company if there is an uninsured or underinsured motorist claim to be made as well. And basically that letter is a comprehensive letter, shows everything, explains the law, the medicine, the diagnosis, all of that, and makes a demand for compensation based upon the availability in the insurance policies. So now what could happen once the pre-suit demand is sent out, once the treatment has been completed? And just because somebody has completed the curative portion of treatment doesn't mean that they shouldn't continue to treat for pain management or palliative care, which is supportive care, in the event they're still experiencing residual symptoms even after the doctor has placed them at MMI or maximum medical improvement and done his permanency rating pursuant to the American Medical Association guidelines. But we send the demand letter in. This is all assuming this has all been done. And the insurance company will have a period of time, usually 30 days, to make a response. They may ask for additional information, which we'll usually provide. We want to make sure that the insurance adjusters have everything they need to have to make a complete and intelligent decision. You don't want to leave them hanging with information because that's not good for your client, and that doesn't really show them how their exposure is going to play out. So you want to make sure they have everything. And after the period of time, they may either tender what you request in terms of the policy limits, if that's what you ask for, or whatever amount you ask for. They may make an offer that isn't what you asked for, but might be something that you can work with. After you've discussed with the client, you may be able to negotiate a settlement based upon the offer made and based upon perhaps some counter offering and going back and forth, and that's sort of how that will work. And then there are times when the insurance company just simply won't budge, or sometimes when the client won't budge. It could be one thing or the other. Either the insurance company may undervalue the claim, or the client may have an unreasonable expectation of what they should get in a case. There are many people that approach this from the perspective that this is a lottery ticket, and while some people can recover some significant recoveries in personal injury cases, it does happen from time to time. It really shouldn't be looked at as your ship coming in. This exists to compensate you for your harms and losses. So if we can't reach a decision, a settlement with the insurance company, then we talk about the possibility of litigating the case. So in summation, a pre-suit litigation a pre-litigation phase that is successful will result in a settlement, and that's sort of the goal. Um, and the pre-suit process is exactly what it sounds like. All the steps taken in a claim that leads up to settlement. Pre-litigation, like I said, also known as pre-suit, isn't a means to, it isn't a mean to ending a lawsuit. So you don't think about it like that. Instead, it's a completely separate process. So, the pre-suit and the litigation phases are two completely different things. Um, and like I indicated before, the pre-litigation or pre-suit phase begins the moment the accident happens and a claim is made to the insurance company. In fact, some insurance companies are pretty bold. There was a time when some progressive SUVs were pulling up to the scenes of accidents with checks for people, and not just checks to repair their cars, which haven't been adjusted properly to determine property damage, but settle everything: the damage to your vehicle, your injuries, and just with a blind check for a low amount of money that just may sound good to you at the time. That is an example of the insurance company trying to cut that process short. But what you want to do, if you find yourself or somebody that you love is involved in an accident, call an attorney up. Call me up. You can reach me at my cell at 727-656-7852. You can reach my website at CDB Injury Law and learn about me and my credentials and my experience. I'm here to give information. I'm here to counsel you, and I'm here to represent you if that's what you want. But don't be afraid to contact an attorney, because if you retain us, we work for you. You're the captain of the ship, and we steer the ship, and that's how it works. But anyway, I hope that this was at least informative as far as what the pre-litigation process is, what it involves, and what it doesn't involve. And by that, I mean the filing of a lawsuit. So I guess next time I'm going to have to give you a little primer on litigation now that we talked to pre-litigation today. But anyway, that's it for this evening. I thank you very much for tuning in, and I appreciate your comments and your criticisms. And please like or share or comment below. And have an excellent evening, and everybody be safe. Thank you.